The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe it.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
Erica, the president's penchant for grievance politics, really on full display this weekend. It was absolutely extraordinary. The president simply all over the place. It wasn't just the number of tweets, it was also the range of topics, as you mentioned, from tweeting about GM to tweeting some bad language, basically, about John McCain, the former senator, and also talking even about Saturday Night Live, a Christmas rerun, if you will, that aired on NBC over the weekend. It was also interesting for some of the topics the president did not touch, most notably about New Zealand and the horrific attack there. The president tweeted warm sympathies on Friday, but after that, basically nothing. And this came after the president had asserted that white nationalism is not a worldwide threat, which led his chief of staff, Mick Mulvaney, to go out on TV and defend him over the weekend.
You've seen the president stand up for religious liberties, individual liberties. The president is not a white supremacist. I'm not sure how many times we have to say that.
Oh, you're going to have to say it a whole lot more because everybody thinks he's a white supremacist, except for white supremacists. Hello, everybody. Happy freaking Monday. Oh, my God. Thank you for your patience as we try to build it so they will come. We got pretty far. We still have a couple things more to do. We'll do some stuff, on during this week, but we won't have to come off the air. And then next Monday, we will have to come off the air. But that should be the final install if, that's what, he says.
Roy!
Says. That's what
Roy!
Says. He's our guru, man. Whatever he tells me to do, I just do it. So that's where we're at. All right. Now, the president has lost his mind. We all know that. He lost his mind a long time ago. He lost his mind before he became the president. But now being the president seems to have just exacerbated whatever the narcissistic disorder that he particularly has is. Because the president, instead of mourning the loss of life, in New Zealand, a 3-year-old little boy was gunned down in this mosque. A 4-year-old girl, okay, a 3-year-old baby boy. I mean, and instead of mourning the loss of life, instead of, they love the fetus, hate the child, obviously, can't spend any time mourning the death of children with semi-automatic weapons. By the way, in 10 days, New Zealand's going to have stricter gun laws. Yeah. In 10 days, you will not be able to buy in fact, people who sell semi-automatic weapons online in Australia have already posted on their websites, no more, we're not selling them anymore. Sorry, but life is more precious than the business of selling semi-automatic weapons. So that's the difference, okay? That and like 15 hours is the difference between us and New Zealand. 15 hours, right? But instead of mourning the loss of, babies, children, innocent life, old men, old ladies who were sitting praying, right, on a Friday, which is, Shabbos. Muslims and Jews, we got to get this together. Honestly, you don't eat pork. You cover your head. Friday is the night. Do you know how much we have in common, honestly? It's like if you could just stop killing infidels or saying that, we're good. We're all good. No, but honestly, he spent the weekend mourning Jeanine Pirro's loss on Fox News. Can you believe that? I mean, the most anti-Muslim person on Fox News is who he's mourning while he sent Mick Mulvaney out to the wider TV audience, because the president can't say it anymore. He can't say that he's not a white supremacist. He's already declared himself a nationalist. He's already shown us who Stephen Miller is. He's already, this European onslaught of, like I said, it was happening in Hungary. It's happening in Poland. It's already Russia. Russia's always been like this. Russia's always been hostile to Jews and Muslims. Chechens or Muslim. There's another thing. Russia has in common with white supremacists the hatred for Muslims and the hatred for Jews. I can't even breathe anymore when I sit there and I see this president did nothing this weekend at all to bring he is the leader of the free world, like it or not, to bring the world together, to bring understanding, to bring some sort of a cry. That this will not stand. This is no good. This can't work. We have to cut the crap. We have to end this kind of talk. This is just fostering, an epidemic of killing. This is bad. You know what I mean? Nothing. Instead, he mourns Jeanine Pirro, and he freaks out about a Christmas rerun of Saturday Night Live. That is what was on the president's mind this weekend. That he literally asked in a tweet. And he was all over the place this weekend. I don't know. Like I said, the Adderall, it's got to be straight to the vein at this point. It has to be. There is no way that this man is not relying on some substance, okay? It's just impossible for me to believe. Impossible for me to believe that this is the functioning brain of a unimpeded individual, of a virgin blood. This has to be some substance abuse. This has to be. And I know everybody who's ever documented him or wrote a biography of him, whatever, they all, and they know him. They do. Tony Schwartz knows him. Michael D'Antonio knows him. All these people that have penned biographies of him or were his ghostwriters all say, no, he doesn't do drugs, Rand. He really doesn't do drugs. Well, I gotta believe he does, because I cannot imagine somebody this evil on his own. Just that a human being could be this ugly, this hard-hearted, this opportunistic, this self-serving. All he did this weekend was complain about his treatment. That's all he did all weekend long. He actually attacked Saturday night. He literally asked in a tweet, should the Federal Election Commission and or FCC look into this? Meaning Saturday Night Live. He called them a bunch of no talent, not funny, blah, blah, blah. And then he said, should Federal Election Commission and or FCC look into this? He has no idea how things work. This is not how any of this works. It's not how any of this works. The Federal Election Commission, yeah, let's get right on that. Why don't you appoint Chris Kobach to start a commission to look into whether or not Saturday Night Live is manipulating the election? The FEC, the Federal Election Commission, really? I don't even understand it. And then he tweets, there must be collusion with the Democrats and, of course, Russia. Such one-sided media coverage, most of it fake news. Hard to believe I won and I'm winning. Okay, first of all, you're not winning, which is why you're having to tweet about, the Lordstown plant closing up, and you're going to take on whatever it is he's doing. And yes, it's hard to believe you're the president. Yes, it is. Unbelievable. I can't even. I can't breathe when I see these things. And he was tweeting nonstop all weekend long, and doing absolutely nothing but complaining, making himself into the victim here. And you've got 50 dead people at the hands of a white supremacist who left a freaking manifesto behind. And in his manifesto, he literally says that Trump is a symbol of renewed white identity. Well, I feel sorry for you people. I really do. If he is your symbol of renewed white identity, trust me, the movie of his life is not going to be, White Panther, okay? This is going to be like orange orangutan or something. I mean, this is just really crazy. This manifesto was pure toxic rage, absolutely sick. And that, he talked about using guns because he wanted to send a message to the United States. He wanted to show that no corner of the world is safe, even the most remote places, which is why Christchurch, New Zealand, and that he wanted to send a message to the United States about, the effectiveness of semi-automatic weapons, and that, you could go to the nooks and crannies and you could go, anywhere and everywhere. And then he talked about Donald Trump, and he doesn't believe Donald Trump's a good leader. He believes he's an ineffective leader, but he said that Donald Trump is a symbol of renewed white identity. Oh, my God. And then he sends Mick Mulvaney out on the TV, and Kellyanne Conway, who also worked for these Kellyanne Conway is one of the most racist people on the planet, in that she worked for this Center for Security Policy, Frank Gaffney's fake organization that's been it's been dubbed by the Anti-Defamation League and the Southern Poverty Law Center as a think tank for hate. It's an anti-Muslim think tank, and she worked there for them. And so did, a lot of people that work for Trump now. They're the ones that started the whole Obama is a secret Muslim thing. And Trump quotes them when he was talking about his Muslim ban, and starts giving their stats, just so you'll remember.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States until our country's representatives can figure out what the hell is going on. We have no choice.
We have no choice.
We have no choice. We have no choice.
Say it again.
According to Pew Research, among others, there is a great hatred toward Americans by large segments of the Muslim population. Most recently, a poll from Center for Security Policy released data showing 25% of those polled agreed that violence against Americans, these are people that are here, by the way, people here, 25, not 1%. By the way, 1% would be unacceptable. 1% is unacceptable. 25% of those polled agreed that violence against Americans here in the United States is justified as part, think of that, as part of the global jihad. They want to change your religion. I don't think so.
Oh, my God.
I don't think so. Not going to happen.
Okay, so he's reading from a document, obviously, and he tells you what he's reading from. He tells you he's reading from the Center for Security Policy. Okay, that is an anti-Muslim think tank that is run by Frank Gaffney. The Southern Poverty Law Center considers them an anti-Muslim hate group and a conspiracy-oriented mouthpiece for the growing anti-Muslim movement in the United States. The Center for American Progress identifies the Center for Security Policy as one of the, quote, main organizations fueling Islamophobia and the Islamophobic network. It's led by a former Reagan administration official, Frank Gaffney, who has, quote, long advanced baseless conspiracy theories, including that President Obama is a closet Muslim. It falsely claims that American Muslims and their liberal allies are working to institute Sharia law in the United States and to destroy Western civilization from within with a stealth jihad or civilization jihad. They mischaracterize Sharia as a political program and a totalitarian supremacist Islamic doctrine that Islamic nations are required to impose on all others. That is not true. And let me tell you some of the names you'll know who are associated with it. Jeanine Pirro. Yeah, Judge Jeanine. She's given speeches for them. Kellyanne Conway worked with them. She worked for the Center for Security Policy frequently before joining the Trump campaign and the Trump White House. Frank Gaffney advised the Trump transition team, and two authors of that report that he was, quoting from, the report is called Sharia, the Threat to America. They are now national security advisors to Donald Trump. Trump administration officials who worked there and then worked for Trump are Sebastian Gorka, Michael Flynn, Jeff Sessions, CIA Director Mike Pompeo, Kellyanne Conway, Jeanine Pirro. They're the ones who advocated for extreme vetting. Although Donald Trump doesn't extremely vet anybody who gets a security clearance. And the extreme vetting test for refugees and immigrants to, quote, ensure they are not creating this Sharia agenda. They also maintain relationships with other Republican politicians, many of them who have attended or spoken at CSP summits and adopted their position that there is a civilization jihad. Also, our HUD director, Ben Carson, he espouses a civilization jihad philosophy. So does Ted Cruz, who defends Frank Gaffney. So does Breitbart, Steve Bannon. Janine hosted the staff and others.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
As part of the global jihad.
Told ya.
They want to change your religion. I don't think so. I don't think so.
Oh, my
Not going to
God.
happen. As part of the global jihad, and 51% of those polled agreed that Muslims in America should have the choice of being governed according to Sharia. You know what Sharia is? 51%. Sharia authorizes, and look, it's terrible. Sharia authorizes such atrocities as murder against non-believers who won't convert, beheadings, and more unthinkable acts that pose great harm to Americans, especially women. Especially women.
He's a very
Tough stuff.
sick person. He is just bizarre. And then all weekend long, he had people on the TV defending him. You can't say he's anti-Muslim. You can't say that the president's
The president of the United States carries a megaphone louder than anyone in the world, and arguably this president likes to use his. So because you're frustrated, why not remove any shadow of a doubt? I mean, during the campaign, as you know, as a candidate, the president called for a ban on all Muslims entering the United States. He said Islam hates us. This kind of language in the past leads to these questions of why isn't the president now directly using that megaphone to condemn it?
Well, then take the words and put them in one category, and take the actions and put them in another. Something the president doesn't get hardly any credit for or any attention to is the work he's done in defense of religious minorities all around the world, up to and including Muslims in the Middle East.
Are you kidding?
Some of the religious minorities that are the worst oppressed in the Middle East are some of the ones that this administration has been going to great lengths to protect. So I hear what folks say, oh, Donald Trump said this during the campaign. Look at what we've done while we've been here. And I don't think anybody could say that the president is anti-Muslim.
No one could say that the president is anti-Muslim. Everyone can say that even white supremacists can say that the president is anti-Muslim. They say it because they cheer that. We say it because we hate that. This is sick, okay? This is really sick, and it's all coming from this one group. It's all coming from this heinous, ugly, anti-Muslim think tank headed by Frank Gaffney that can include in its membership Ted Cruz and Ben Carson and Jeanine Pirro and Steve Bannon, Stephen Miller, Kellyanne Conway, Lockheed Martin. Lockheed Martin has made huge donations to this Center for Security Policy, which is an anti-Muslim think tank. They have served on the board of CSP, Lockheed executives have. The Washington Post has done fact checks on this think tank. They've called them a hack organization for its promotion of conspiracy theories about Muslim infiltration. The Brookings Institute criticized the work of the Center for Security Policy and similar organizations, saying they sell a lot of books and they scare the hell out of Americans, but their policy recommendations range from vague to downright harmful. Now, here are the actual stats, okay? This is the real deal on what is going on. You can't ignore the words because the words just keep pounding at you and coming to you. I mean, the president with his Muslim ban, and I don't even know if you remember some of his rallies. Guys stood up and said, you know, America's got a problem and it's called Muslims, and I just want to know, when can we get rid of them? And the president agrees with them.
Let's start with this group right over here. Come on. Okay, this man, I like this guy.
From White Plains. Amen. Okay.
Amen.
We have a problem in this country. It's called Muslims. We know our current president is one.
Oh, my God.
You know he's not even an American.
We need this
birth
question.
certificate,
This is
man. But anyway,
wow.
We have training camps growing where they want to kill us. Mm-hmm. That's my question. When can we get rid of
We're going to be looking at a lot of different things. And, you know, a lot of people are saying that, and a lot of people are saying that
God.
bad things are happening out there. We're going to be looking at that and plenty of other things.
But you can't say he's anti-Muslim, can you? I think everybody knows he's anti-Muslim. I think all the white supremacists love him because he's anti-Muslim. And I think, you know, the people that, want him out of here know he's anti-Muslim. This is a right-wing extremist environment that he operates in. And quite frankly, hate crimes in this country have dramatically spiked. That is a fact. The Anti-Defamation League, they have a Center on Extremism. It tracks murders. It tracks murders perpetrated by all kinds of extremists. All kinds. Eco-extremists, eco-terrorists, whatever you want to call those people. And it tracks all the motivations behind their violent attacks. And in 2018, they saw a spike in right-wing extremist murders. Every single extremist killing from Pittsburgh to Parkland had a link to right-wing terrorism. Can I say that again? Every single extremist killing from Pittsburgh to Parkland had a link to right-wing extremism. This man is literally tearing us apart, literally pitting one against the other, because he's not going to leave in 2020. And that's why, Friday he was talking to Breitbart. Oh, my God. And he told Breitbart that, he says that the left wing is much more vicious than the right wing is, which by all statistics is patently false. However, he said that the right wing takes it until they can't take it anymore. And by the right wing, he said, I've got the police, I've got the military, I've got the bikers. I'm not kidding. He said, so here's the thing. It's so terrible what's happening. The left plays a tougher game. It's very funny. I actually think that the people on the right are tougher, but they don't play it tougher, okay? I can tell you, I have the support of the police, the support of the military, the support of the bikers for Trump. I have the tough people, but they don't play it tough until they go to a certain point, and then it will be very, very bad. I don't know who he's talking about. I'm ex-military. The Iraq vets, Iraq and Afghanistan vets against the war are not on his side. Vote vets are not on his side. I'm not on his side. A lot of people in this audience are veterans. We're not on his. Who is he talking about? Who is he talking about? Bikers for Trump. They're 70 years old, the Bikers for Trump. Quick, everybody, get a microwave and gig their pacemaker. That's how we're going to defend ourselves, you know. Oh, my God, this man is sick. He's really twisted. There's something so wrong with him. Here are the statistics, okay? This is the truth.
George, unfortunately, hate is alive and well. According to the FBI, we've seen a dramatic spike in the number of hate crimes here in the U.S., an increase of about 17% when comparing 2016 to 2017. There were more than 8,000 victims and more than 6,000 suspects. 58% of the suspects were motivated by race, 22% motivated by religion. George, and there are some numbers that suggest that since 9/11, the attacks, far-right radicals have been extremely active. In fact, between 2002 and 2016, far-right radicals were involved in nearly 3/4 of the fatal attacks here at home, though they killed slightly fewer people than Islamic radicals. This, according to the GAO.
And posing a tough challenge for law enforcement.
It's an extremely tough challenge. How do you deal with this, George? There are so many people using the internet. When does hate turn into actual violence? You don't know when that's actually going to happen. So police are here and around the world have to depend on the community to tell them when they feel like hate speech is evolving into something more sinister.
Oh my God, did you hear those numbers? 58%. There were 8,000 victims. 58% of the perpetrators were motivated by race. 22% of the attackers were motivated by religion. A 17% spike in hate crimes since 2017. This was the fourth deadliest year on record for domestic extremist-related killings since 1970. The extremist-related murders in 2018 were overwhelmingly linked to right-wing extremists. Every one of the perpetrators had ties to at least one right-wing extremist movement. White supremacists were responsible for the great majority of the killings, which is typically the case. Deadly shooting sprees were a major factor in the high death toll. 5 of 17 incidents involved shooting sprees that caused 38 deaths and injured 33 people. The perpetrator of one of 2018's deadly shooting sprees at a yoga studio in Tallahassee was connected to the misogynistic incel manosphere movement. You remember that guy Elliot Rodgers, don't you? He was one of those. He was part of the incel manosphere movement. He went on a shooting spree in 2014 and also decided to document it right before as he sat in his car. This was one of the most chilling things I ever saw.
Hi.
Hi.
Elliot Rodger here. Well, this is my last video. It all has to come to this. Tomorrow is the day of retribution. The day in which I will have my revenge against humanity, against all of you. For the last 8 years of my life, ever since I've hit puberty, I've been forced to endure an existence of loneliness, rejection, and unfulfilled desires, all because girls have never been attracted to me.
Very sick crap, man. This is incredible. And this is what, the president is encouraging. This is what the president is actually talking. This is who he's talking to. This is what he's talking to. This is how he's talking to them. He's sitting there telling them that that Muslims are a problem. And then after that man said, Muslims are a problem, when my question for you is, when can we get rid of them? He said, well, we're talking about a lot of things. We're going to do a lot of things, because many people are saying this. Many people are. And then he stood up subsequently and started reading from this Center for whatever it is, the Frank Gaffney ridiculous group that almost everyone in his administration currently had worked for, creating these fake numbers about Sharia law, and that there's some Sharia onslaught and it's coming here and blah blah blah. And then he was asked to denounce that man, and he defended that man.
He said Muslims are a problem. Okay, that's what he said. Okay, are they a problem? You tell me. And I say, I don't see the people, and I use it often, that knocked down the World Trade Center going back to Sweden. okay? So he said Muslims are a problem. That was part of what he said. Well, I mean, can you make the case that it's been tough? And by the way, most Muslims, I know many, are great people.
Yeah, and the ones that knocked down the World Trade Center are Saudi Arabians, who, by the way, today in the newspaper, it looks like Prince Salman didn't just kill Jamal Khashoggi. Oh, hell no. He killed like a dozen other people, too. Anybody that disagrees with him, he just goes out and murders them. And this is his best friend, and this is Jared Kushner's best friend. So he invokes 9/11 all the time. He says he saw Muslims in New Jersey, celebrating the downing of the world. That never happened. He talks about invaders, right, from the southern border by saying to you, oh, a lot of them were from the Middle East. Remember, they found prayer rugs in the desert. This is all a Snopes debunked urban myth. Never happened. He took it from a movie. A movie. But I swear, and he retweeted. Remember when that Dutch boy was, being bullied, and he said that those were two Muslims that were bullying? That he retweeted that. That was not true either. He says there's Middle Easterners in the caravan. He says Islam hates us. He said they're invaders. France is not France anymore, right? I mean, but you can't say he's anti-Islamic, right?
To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844.
561-270-3844. Do you think Muslims are a problem?
Well, I think a certain segment are certainly a problem, and unless you want to be so politically correct where you want me to say, oh, absolutely not. I mean, you have ISIS, you have the migration, you have all of this stuff, you have... a lot of people think you're going to end up with World War III over the Middle East. I've heard that for 25 years. Mm-hmm. There's something going on when you see beheadings. I mean, beheadings, we haven't seen that since medieval times, beheadings. You see dunkings, they call them dunkings, drownings, where they put people in a cage, dump them in the ocean. There's something going on. Yeah. So when he said Muslims are a problem, am I supposed to say, oh, look, again, you probably won't put this part. I have great friendships with many people who are Muslim, living in this building, okay, living here. But I have great friendships. They're phenomenal people. And most of them are like that.
Have they asked you about your comments? What do you say to them?
By the way, they think we have a bigger problem than we do. Okay? They think we have a bigger problem because there's a radical Islamic group of people that is brutal. And unless our country gets tough and smart, and unless we have the right leadership done, we're in big trouble.
This is insane, okay? This is really insane. We had 9/11 how many years ago, okay? And he just keeps milking that terror and that fear. He just keeps on spreading it all over this country. I mean, we were also bombed by Japanese in 1941. To sit there and to say, anything about Japanese Americans. I mean, you're going to tell me that, we don't have a problem with Japanese Americans? I mean, look at Pearl Harbor. That's insane. That is sick, twisted logic. That is the logic of a man who seeks to control enough of the population based on fear and loathing and their own lack of meaning in their life, their own cowardice, their own fears, their own, craziness. He plays right to them because he doesn't want to leave when he loses. And he's calling them to arms. This is what this man is doing. And, Michael Cohen said it. Donnie Deutsch said it. I'm noticing more and more people are questioning. There's an op-ed in the New York Times today about whether or not he's going to leave in 2020, whether or not we're going to have to, I don't know, call the FBI and have him arrested to remove him from the premises because he's going to inflame, 26% of the population to go get their guns and defend him and let him stay in the presidency a la Maduro. I mean, this is very sick. This is very scary. I can't understand why he keeps doing this, except to tell you that the reason is he's not going to leave in 2020, and he needs the support of crazy people. Otherwise, this makes no sense. This makes absolutely no sense. When he was asked, listen, the man could give, even W, okay? W, oh my God. W went to war. W attacked an unarmed nation. That's how bad he was. But at least he understood that he didn't want it here. And so he stood on a pile of rubble and he said, well, you know, you'll all hear from us soon, and then attack the wrong country. Yeah. But then he also gave a speech and he talked about, don't hate Muslims. This is not Muslim. This is not Islam doing this. This is terrorism. These are crazy people. These are nutbags. These are people who are lost. And they're all getting together online, and they're organizing each other online. And that's what's happening in rooms like 8chan. You know, this 74-page manifesto by this particular gunman, by this particular white supremacist, he posted it on 8chan. Have you ever been to these, crazy places? Have you ever seen these message boards? They're vomit-inducing. The stupidity that passes for some sort of a conversation, the malcontents, the cowardice, the sickness, the hatred, the racism, the amount of misled, stupid individuals who are being given ballast by each other, that hate is a good thing to foster, and it's a good thing to... Oh, it's just so unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So this gunman from New Zealand, he put his 74-page manifesto on 8chan, and he said the same thing that the Center for Policy Security or whatever, that Bannon, and I told you, Bannon is all over Europe now. Bannon is all over Europe spreading white supremacy ideology. He's doing it in Hungary. He's doing it in Europe, all over the place. I mean, it's just the sickest thing. It's the sickest thing. Have you learned nothing from the greatest generation? Have you learned nothing from the demise of Mussolini, of Franco, of Hitler, of all the... This ideology is a loser. It's a relic. It's been proven to be the most brutal, thoughtless, senseless, horrendous, ridiculous ideology ever created. For everyone who would sacrifice their life supporting it, you got 20 million people that would fight to the last breath to keep you from spreading it. Don't you know that? Don't you know that? Again, another one was quoting this Norwegian Anders Breivik. Remember, we went through that with the last one, okay? Multiculturalism is, bad, and welcoming, the stranger for some reason is anti-Christian now. I don't even understand it. But, this guy who documented this whole, He said, that he was doing this to send a message to the United States that Donald Trump is the symbol of renewed white identity, and that, he quoted the wall, and that you need a wall, and you got to protect America, and the caravan of migrants has Middle Easterners in it. I mean, this is craziness. This is craziness. What kind of a country do we have when the president doesn't even have a chief of staff, okay? No one can work for this guy. He has an acting chief of staff, Mick Mulvaney, who's been in charge of the Consumer Protection Bureau. Then he was acting this, now he's acting that. I mean, who the hell knows? He has to get on TV and he has to deny that the president is a white supremacist. What kind of a country is this? The chief of staff to the president of the United States has to go on Fox News to deny that the president is a white supremacist?
In his 74-page manifesto, the shooter wrote this. I want to put it on the screen. Are you a supporter of Donald Trump as a symbol of renewed white identity and common purpose? Sure. What does the president think of that?
Yeah, in fact, I'm a little disappointed you didn't put up the next sentence, which the next sentence, because I looked at it last night, was, what about for his policies and as a leader? And he said, dear God, no. I don't think it's fair to cast this person as a supporter of Donald Trump any more than it is to look at his sort of his eco-terrorist passages in that manifesto and align him with Nancy Pelosi or Ms. Ocasio-Cortez. This was a disturbed individual, an evil person, and to sit to try and tie him to an American politician of either party probably ignores some of the deeper difficulties that this sort of activity exposes.
I want to make it clear. I take your point, and I want to make it clear. The only person responsible for this slaughter is the shooter, not President Trump. But some critics have said that he has contributed over the years to an anti-Muslim climate. Here is one of his statements from the campaign.
I think Islam hates us. There's something there that there's a tremendous hatred.
And after the attack, Democratic Senator Kirsten Gillibrand tweeted this: time and again, this president has embraced and emboldened white supremacists, and instead of condemning racist terrorists, he covers for them. Yep. And some folks were disturbed that after we saw the manifesto, after the shooting, which said that he was doing this to kill, quote, invaders, the president said this when he was signing his veto message.
People hate the word invasion, but that's what it is. It's an invasion of drugs and criminals and people.
I understand, and I very much agree that the president is not responsible for this action, but has he considered, given the fact that some people seem to feel that he has given them cover, has he considered giving a major speech condemning anti-Muslim, white supremacist bigotry?
You've asked a couple of questions. Let's go back and talk about what Senator Gillibrand said. Look, there's folks who just don't like the president, and everything that goes wrong, they're going to look for a way to tie that to the president. So if they see the word invaders in the manifesto, they see that passage, and they say, oh my goodness, there must be some connection between this. That's just absurd to say there's some type of connection between being against illegal immigration, which is what the veto was about, for legal immigration, and the ruthless live streaming of murder of 15 people. The two things have nothing to do with each other. So I recognize the fact.
Let's forget all of that. To the degree that there is an issue, let me just ask, to the degree that there is an issue with white supremacist, white nationalist, anti-Muslim bigotry in this country, and there is an issue with that, why not deliver a speech condemning it?
You've seen the president stand up for religious liberties, individual liberties. The president is not a white supremacist. I'm not sure how many times we have to say that.
Oh my God, the president's chief of staff had to go on the television to say the president is not a white supremacist.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States until our country's representatives can figure out what the hell is going on. We have no choice. We have no choice. We have no choice. According to Pew Research, among others, there is a great hatred toward Americans by large segments of the Muslim population. Most recently, a poll from Center for Security Policy released data showing 25% of those polled agreed that violence against Americans, these are people that are here, by the way.
This is not true.
25, not 1%. By the way, 1% would be unacceptable. 1% is unacceptable. 25% of those polled agreed that violence against Americans here in the United States is justified as part, think of that, as part of the global jihad. They want to change your religion. I don't think so. I don't think so.
He's a sick man, okay? That is all coming from Frank Gaffney's anti-Muslim think tank. These are crazy people with no idea or no care that what they say is actually sparking some of the most insecure, cowardly, really unhappy people who have this sense of victimization, who have this sense that if it was only, just white people, just Christians here in this country, they would be doing great. Meanwhile, 1% of the population is Jewish. 1% of the population is Muslim. It's just so sick and sad. And this man has played right to their own insecurities, their own self devaluation. And instead of building those people up, and instead of finding a way to talk to them and excite them about the future and get them inspired to do better or to build something, he complains and tells them, you're a victim. I'm a victim. I know I'm a victim. And he tweets victimized stuff all weekend long so that his supporters go, you know what? I feel the same way. They're just attacking us. They're just attacking us. He does it too. Everything is about him. Everything is a complaint. I've never seen a president complain so much about his own victimization by Saturday Night Live. It's sick. This is a former white supremacist.
Why do these people like what the president says?
Well, because he says exactly what they're saying. And there's things that I said exactly 30 years ago.
But he says all the time, I'm not a white supremacist.
Words.
But Christian, just to give him his due, he'll say, I don't like these people. I'm not about them. I'm not about their cause. He doesn't say it right away. He often has to be pushed. But what do they believe?
Well, I can tell you that most white supremacists will also deny the fact that they're white supremacists in public, too. And today when I heard him say that he thought it was a fringe issue, that he didn't think it was a problem, I have to believe that he truly believes that he doesn't see a significant portion of some of the people that voted for him are white nationalists. So maybe he doesn't actually see it as a problem.
No,
as
please,
a threat.
he plays to them.
And what do you think when you say he says what they say? What exactly? What do they cling on to? Because we have seen an uptick in mouthiness among those who used to realize they were relegated to the shadows. What is it that they're grabbing onto?
Well, I can tell you 30 years ago, I used to call for a wall to be built or for illegal immigrants to be taken out of the country, all immigrants who weren't white to be taken out of the country. I called, for the U.S. To pull out of partnerships in Europe. It was all about the breakdown of democracy. And what's happening now is being aided by a foreign influence. So we're seeing, the foundation rippers come in from Eastern Europe and from Russia with the propaganda that's being flooded all over the internet. What's happening on the internet is it is essentially a 24-hour hate buffet. It is that alley I was standing in at 14 years old and had to have a person physically connect with me to recruit me. What's happening now is people are going to this buffet and they can feast all night long on message forums that are not even geared towards white nationalism. What's happened is the recruiters have gotten devious, even more devious, and they're going to places that are safe places online, like depression forums, autism forums. They're talking to our youngest kids over their multiplayer headsets to recruit them. This is what's happening now. They're trying to push a false narrative that's based on conspiracy theory that, frankly, is hard to not step into on the internet.
This is no different than any terrorist group that you might know. This is what ISIS does. This is what Al-Qaeda before them did. This is what they've been doing in these game rooms. This is what they've been doing on the 8chan and the 4chan and the Stormfront and the Breitbarts and the talk radio circuit. This is mass madness, you maniacs. This is gotta stop.
Mary had a little lamb.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe it. Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
This coward who committed these killings in New Zealand put out this document that included language like invasion and invader, which is language that President Trump has used. Now, I'm not saying the president's language caused these attacks. And when I brought this up with Congressman Adam Kinzinger, he said, you can't put this on the president. What is the role, in your mind, of that type of language? Or what's the impact of it?
Well, one thing it signals is that there is some connection. I mean, the fact is that he not only is the word invading used or invader by the white supremacists in Europe and the United States and the president, also this term replacement. Yes. They will not replace us. You see this term popping up all over the place as well. And I think that the language so indicates a connection. The other thing I think it shows is encouragement. So if you are a motivated white supremacist, then there's a chance that you could think the president approves of what you're doing. So those are two very scary things, and I think the vigilant need to take notice that this threat needs to be addressed.
Yes, thank you. That's Keith Ellison, a member of Congress who happens to be Muslim. This is unbelievable, and it is spreading, and it's getting worse because the President of the United States has the loudest megaphone in the world, and he says the stuff that I've already played for you. I don't want to do it again, but he sits there and he eggs on this hatred. He eggs on this fear. He eggs on this victimhood. You know, everything about Donald Trump, everything he says makes Donald Trump a victim. You know, he did it all weekend long, complaining. I'm a victim. Oh, SNL is making fun of me. Oh, you know, maybe we should get the Federal Election Commission involved in Saturday Night Live reruns. Oh, maybe we should get the Federal Communications Commission involved in Saturday Night Live Christmas reruns. You know, the idea France is not France, and retweeting white supremacists' BS about, you know, Hillary Clinton with a Star of David and money and the George Soros thing. George Soros is out to get the whole world. Jews are going to replace us. Jews. We're literally 1% of the population of the world. If your penis doesn't work, I can't help you. This is amazing, this replacement theory. The name of the manifesto, Idiot Boy over there in New Zealand, was called The Great Replacement. Those Charlottesville dudes, okay, those morons with their tiki torches, they were chanting, Jews will not replace us. Of course we're not going to replace you. We're 1% of the freaking population, you moron. There's 1 billion Christians in the world. Shut up. It's unbelievable. This crazy person in New Zealand, Friday afternoon at 1:30, he's sitting inside of a Subaru Outback with a helmet camera. That's normal. Like a GoPro on top of his freaking stupid helmet. And wearing tactical protective gear. You know, if you see yourself in that position, you just catch a glimpse of yourself in the rearview mirror, and you happen to be wearing tactical gear, and you got 3 shotguns lying across the passenger seat with white supremacist crap written all over them, and you're wearing a helmet with a camera on it, you know, please call Charter Hospital or one of their affiliates and get some damn help, because you're about to lose it. And at 28 years old, you're about to end the rest of your life. Holy crap. And he says, all right, let's get this party started. Really? You could hear his navvy. Take the second left toward the city center. He had a mixtape, for God's sake. He made a mixtape for the occasion. If you're finding yourself making a mixtape while looking at your tactical gear and your helmet camera and writing white supremacist crap on your freaking guns, get help! Oh my God. Sonny in Michigan.
Hi, Randy. How are you?
Oh, oof.
It's gonna get better. Randy, you know, I'm a Muslim, and as a Muslim, when I heard things like this, it hurt. You know, I practice my religion faithfully, pray 5 times a day. But I want to explain you something very short. I will be very, very short. Muslims are making a big mistake. Every time somebody says jihad or Sharia law, we don't explain it to people, and that's the problem. The Quran is very, very specific and very clear. Jihad, there is 2 types of jihad. There is jihad fil nafs, like the jihad with you and yourself, madam, you and your desire.
A struggle.
You have to fight that. Yes, you have to fight that. And that's the jihad that they spend in the Quran multiple times. There is another jihad during the time of the Prophet when he was going to Mecca, when he was in Medina to go to Mecca to fight, basically his own people actually, who kicked him out of Mecca. The people who was following him, they was going for jihad. Basically go there to fight them for the sake of God. That's jihad, jihad of God, basically. Now, I'm not going to get deep on that. Now, I'm going to tell you about the law, the Sharia law. The Quran is very, very clear and very, very specific. If a Muslim go to another country, you migrate to another country, you have to follow those laws, the laws of the land that you are. You cannot follow any other law, not the Quran, not the Sunnah of the Prophet, nothing else but the law of that country. That's just the problem that a lot of Muslim people are not explaining to the non-Muslim. Because we hear jihad, we don't explain people what jihad means. We hear Sharia law. I'm from Senegal. It's 84% Muslim. There is no Sharia law over there. You know, there is a constitution. Muslim people follow that. We in America here, we have to follow the law of the land. That's it. You know, and thank you very much. Thanks for the good work you're doing. God bless you. I love you. And I want to say,
I don't know why we can't get together. I honestly don't know why we can't get together. We have exactly the same religion. It's very weird. Okay? But what's forbidden in your book is forbidden in my book. Okay?
That's right.
I mean, we fast, different times of the year, but we fast too.
Right.
And then we have a break fast, right? You have Eid, we have Passover and Yom Kippur, right? I mean, Friday is the holy day. I don't get why we can't get this together.
Because that's how some of the people want it. These evangelist Christians are the ones who are trying to destroy us, to make us fight. Let's do this. There is prophet, there is Jesus. Moses comes first. After Moses, Jesus. Okay? After Jesus, there is Prophet Muhammad. They all have the same message. The way to go to God, to get closer to God. But people are just and just think about this. Now, this so-called evangelists, the Christian people, they killed Jesus Christ, right? Jesus was a Jew, right? And now they want to turn around and just want to basically kiss this so-called Christian, and just want to fight the Muslim. And the Muslim are fighting basically for the Christian, whatever. The Muslim are telling the Christian, the Jew people, kill Jesus. You don't want to fight the Jew people. You want to come fight the Muslim people. Because this, like you say, these Jew people, the Christian want to
Here's the thing.
All the Jews.
Here's the thing, Asani. Here's what everybody's got to embrace, okay? This is just the cold, hard truth. Your rights begin and end where your nose begins and ends. You can do whatever you want inside that space. Whatever gets you through the day, I don't care. If it's Islam, if it's Judaism, if it's Zarathustra, if it's Buddhism, if it's Shintoism, if it's I don't
believe in nothing.
I don't believe in nothing. I don't care.
Right.
I don't care. Right. But this idea that we should be pitting one person against another person for doing something within themselves to get them through this life, to get them through this day, to keep their kids on the right side of the law, to scare them with whether it's fire and brimstone, or to scare them with hey, you're going to come back in another life and you're going to be an untouchable, whatever it is, that's all fine. This idea that a president of the United States claims that he is the world's biggest victim and his followers all feel that they're victims too is completely and utterly dangerous because
From
if you're a
somebody who doesn't even go to
victim, you have to blame somebody. And
Somebody.
that
That's right.
is what he's doing. And this time around, it's American Muslims. Last time around, it was American Jews.
The Jew.
Okay, and
Right.
before that, it was black people. So now
That's right.
all of us are black Jewish Muslims. All of us.
Right. You're right.
And that's why I
You're
keep
right.
saying we got to get this together. I don't care if you're an atheist, an agnostic, a Muslim, a Jew, or African American, Southern. I don't care what you are, but we are all black Muslim Jews now.
The same blood. And the thing is like right now.
No,
he's
I
doing a
don't
good
mean.
job.
I mean we're all being targeted, all of us.
That's right. That's right. But the thing is, like, right now he's doing a good job because this is what he wanted. We was talking about Paul Manafort. We was talking about all this investigation. You know, this Ras Clark man, you know, Bamba Clark, changed the conversation now. CNN, everybody's talking about now. Since you started, we hear nothing about the investigation. And he is so freaking good about this shit that it's just scared, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, man, Donald Trump is a bad man, man. Donald Trump is a bad man.
Oh no, he's worse than bad. We've had
you
some
know,
bad presidents. He's
I'm trying to be
an
nice.
evil man. He's evil.
I'm trying to be nice.
No,
I'm
he's
trying to be-
evil.
I'm-
Evil, and he's a narcissist. He's disordered in his thinking, and his ideas are dangerous. His
It is.
thinking is dangerous. His followers are dangerous, and that's why I keep on saying we are all now black Muslim Jews. All of us. Every last one of us, whether you're not identifying with that characterization of yourself, you are now. Because the persecution that has gone on in this country against these three groups has gone on for the longest time. The new addition to our group that we hate are Muslims. So welcome to the fold. You're new. This is only, in the 21st century that we've decided to include you in the persecution and the prosecution of all that's wrong with this country. See, prior to that, we blamed everything that was wrong with this country on black people. Then in the 40s, 30s actually, we started saying, it's the black people and the Jews. And guess what happened? The blacks and the Jews reached out to each other. And now I extend a hand to my Muslim brothers.
Randi Rhodes Show is live on RandiRhodes.com and the free Progressive Voices app for Android and iOS. Visit the App Store or ProgressiveVoices.com now.
Reading the tweets this weekend, I thought of George W. Bush after 9/11 going to a mosque and saying, we are not at war with Islam. Just reaching out and trying to define both himself and the United States as a country that welcomes people of all religions. That is completely foreign to Donald Trump. I mean, it really is worth reading all of these tweets together. We should give our audience a reading assignment of reading these tweets just to see the insight into who Donald Trump is.
He's crazy.
Because these are unmediated, no staffers involved, versions of what Donald Trump is thinking, and it is a remarkable tableau.
It isn't expressing concern about the rise of white nationalism. It's personal grievance.
Yes.
I mean, that is what he is fixated on.
But it's personal grievance that is precisely consistent with the white nationalist agenda. I mean, it's not white nationalism, but
it is too.
Everything he says about immigrants, about immigration, about the wall, about the fact that there is no white nationalist problem is consistent with that view.
And he stuck up for Jeanine Pirro. Jeanine Pirro, Fox News host, suspended. She got suspended from Fox News, which is an achievement. Okay, Jeanine Pirro suspended. The president went out of his way to praise her and say, we got to fight against political correctness. She got suspended for an anti-Muslim comment.
Correct. Right. And it's just, it is not, everything is consistent. Everything that Donald Trump does is consistent with who he is. And I think, you gave your reasons at the beginning of why I don't think it's like a distraction from the Mueller report. This is who Donald Trump is. This is the kind of presidency he's conducting.
To have victimhood as the American motto is bizarre and beneath us. America is not a victim. We didn't become America in just 232 years because we were victims. America is a melting pot. America is a conglomeration of thoughts and ideas and religion. I mean, when this country started, they wrote the Treaty of Tripoli to Libya, for God's sake, saying, of course we can trade with you. We have no beef with the Muscle Man, and the Muscle Man was a Muslim. I mean, this man is taking us back to the Stone Age. America is not, it's e pluribus unum, out of many, one country, not a victimhood. Oh, poor America. Oh, feel sorry for us. Oh, we're less than. Oh, we need to complain all day. America doesn't know how to do for itself. America is going to be replaced by something else, something bigger, something badder, something better. Bull crap. Bull crap. And why would you follow a loser that tells you that you're supposed to think of yourself as a victim because you're an American? That is just twisted. And people follow him because they feel victimized too. And that's how he organizes everybody. And the way that he does it is he literally uses skin color and religion and country of origin. I mean, that is sick. That is sick. It is wrong, and it is deadly. It is antithetical to what America is. It's antithetical to every idea we ever had about ourselves as being innovators and entrepreneurial and productive, raising families and making sure our kids do better than we do. Now it's all about lying and cheating and hoarding and putting out a message, I'm a victim, I'm a victim. Oh, bite me. This is not us. This is not America. I mean, I was watching the Prime Minister of New Zealand, and I was listening to, people in Australia. I mean, they were awesome. They were incredible. And again, the population of New Zealand that are Muslim are 1%, just like the population here. Okay? Population of America, Jewish, 1%. Population of New Zealand, Muslim, 1%. And she stood up there and she said, there is no place in New Zealand for this person who did this. There is no place in the world for him. This is not New Zealand. Our Muslim brothers and sisters, they are us. That is who we are. And I'm going to change the gun laws in 10 days because this is not anything we ever want to live through again. That's a real place. That's real leadership. She's going to go door to door if she has to, but she's going to convince these people to give up those automatic weapons, and they will. Because they want a better life, not a victimized life, not a, oh, woe is me life, not a life where you got to blame comedy shows for your lot in life. You got to blame, and stick up for everybody who comes from this Center for Security Policy, which is an anti-Muslim think tank. I mean, every one of these people, Janine Pirro, she's hosted, Lockheed Martin board of directors, on the board of directors of this crazy ass thing. All for what? For war. For war. What a ridiculous proposition. What a stupid foreign policy. And yet, he goes over to Saudi Arabia, he lies to you and says, they bought $110 billion worth of weapons from us, and we're going to sell. That's bull crap, too. It never happened. But he goes over there and embraces these murderers. That is a government that literally is killing people. Hundreds of people brought to a Ritz-Carlton. A 5-star torturer this man is. Loves him. Sick. And the Saudis, if you wanted to get serious about 9/11 all those years ago, 15 of the 19 hijackers were Saudis. And that's his best freaking friend. That's some serious crap. That is some serious misdirection. All for what? A little bit of money. And until you end up in the wood chipper, you're not going to get that. Andrew and Boynton.
Hey, Randy. How you doing?
Hey, B-Town. How you doing?
It's doing good. Yeah, thanks. Hey, I wanted to call in because I lived in New Zealand for about 8 years.
You did?
I did.
Wow.
And amazing place, really cool. And I've been to Christchurch a few times. I worked in Christchurch, and I know about Christchurch. And obviously, everyone else in New Zealand knows about Christchurch too. And Christchurch is it stands out in New Zealand for two reasons. And reason number one is that it's the only city in the country where they have like active neo-Nazi skinhead groups.
Beautiful.
And number two, it's like the methamphetamine production capital of the country.
Really?
So
see what I'm saying? I am saying this over and over to myself all weekend long. There is no way drugs are not involved in this.
Of course they are. Yeah, that's what I call. Well, yeah, of course they are, and everybody knows it. And everyone in New Zealand is not particularly surprised that, of all places, that's where that happened.
Well, why doesn't it happen more often? I mean, this was really something that took that whole place by surprise.
I don't know, Randy.
I mean, they haven't had this there, so.
Well, probably international media and the internet,
Yeah, I got to think that when the leader of the free world is promoting this kind of, hatred and this kind of, a victimization philosophy, that somebody with an addled brain, a compromised brain, neuro pathways, blocked up by, meth. Yeah,
definitely.
That this is a good sell, that this actually makes them have a purpose.
Well, I mean, there's no reason to be a white supremacist unless you have a problem that you cannot fix that makes you hate not only yourself,
right.
It makes you hate existence.
Yeah.
It makes you hate all of existence.
And then,
so you're
and then
get
on top
up on
of
whatever
it, and then
that's
what I'm saying, get some help. But then on top of it, you have these people running around the world, especially Bannon in Europe and Trump here in America, telling people that the reason why your life sucks so hard is now because of Muslims. Before that, it was because of Jews. Before that, it was because of African Americans. It's always now Hispanics. Oh, and by the way, Middle Easterners are in the caravans coming from Central America. They have prayer rugs. That's from a movie.
Yeah,
That's
but
from
all the people saying that,
Sicario.
all the people saying that, including our president, is a methamphetamine addict. Every last one of them.
That's what I'm saying. I keep on saying that he's addicted to Adderall, crushed up and snorted.
It's not Adderall.
You think it's pure
it's
crystal?
A big mess. I swear, if you take off that blazer, you're gonna find track marks and dead veins and all sorts of
really?
shit. Oh yeah. No. Well, why do you think why do you think a sex tape is so damning? Because you want to see that man with no clothes on, you're going to see that he's actually a fucking scumbag.
I don't know.
I do. Believe it.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Definitely. And I think everybody knows.
So you're thinking it's crystal straight to the vein.
Definitely. And I think it's like the big dirty secret of like all the modern society, and that's why nobody touches it, because nobody's hands are clean, But if you look at history, that meth train always leads to Auschwitz. And that's the design. And that's the point.
No, Brett's in there going, oh, come on, this guy. You know what? This guy isn't wrong. That's what kept the Nazi war machine going, was methamphetamine.
And you're a slave to it, even if you don't want to be or you do want to be. I mean, if you're a gentle, hippie, blue-eyed person who finds themselves in its clutches, and the dealer says, well, now you got to join the club, you're going to join the club. That shit will make you do anything. You're going to eat shit and like it if your dealer tells you to. And then you'll just say, oh, thank God I'm blessed, and it's not me.
Oh, my God.
And you know who knows this?
Who?
Vladimir Putin.
Yeah.
Of course he does.
Yeah.
So now our problem is being exploited by our greatest enemy.
Yeah.
That's a matter of national security beyond anything we're even.
Well, we've known he's a danger to our sovereignty because he's a danger to our national security. I mean, there's no question that the whole story with Jared and Ivanka's security clearances, and that Jared is selling our secrets to the Saudis. This takes your breath away.
Yeah, but he knows who we are because he's that too. You know, you don't get to be an oligarch. You know, you don't get to be a Vladimir Putin unless you have leverage.
Yeah.
That is undefeatable. You know.
Right. I mean, people, they always wonder, why can't government accomplish, what the mafia can accomplish? And it's because you can't kill people. But, oh, how naive of me.
Right.
Right. Well, thank you for that uplifting talk. I feel so much worse. Oh, my God.
You're welcome. Yeah, it's terrifying. It's really scary.
It is scary.
But, but knowledge is power.
Listen, Nixon was a drug addict. Nixon was addicted to, like, Secanols and scotch. He was, like, out of his mind drunk, and his demons got him, too. So, I mean...
Yeah, but, you want to see a surefire way to break up any white power tiki torch protest.
Yeah.
When they're around and they're doing their thing and you're protesting at them, don't scream Nazi and don't scream, white supremacist, or because they love that shit.
Right.
They would love nothing more than for you to call them that, because the implication is their race is better than your race, and that's why you're pissed off. So it just reinforces them and feeds them. So all you got to do is you get your bullhorn and you just scream at them, meth addict, shame on you.
Or
and that whole fucking protest.
Or you could take a little baggie and throw it in the middle of them and say, meth.
Well, that's what he's paying. That's what he's doing at those rallies. They used to pay people off. But
you think they're all tweakers at the rallies?
Of course, they're all of them.
Oh,
all of them,
God.
hands down, every single one.
Oh, stop it!
Without a doubt,
this has gone crazy. This has gone off the rails.
Well, God bless America, Randy.
I know.
Here we are.
I know. I firmly believe that this man is on drugs. I mean, there is just no other explanation. And when you look at these shooters and how they just shoot rounds and rounds and rounds and rounds, and they're like really calm about the whole thing, and they make mixtapes to do it to, and they.
Well, that shooter was hopped up too. I bet you.
They have to be. They have to be because
I bet you every single one of those. Actually, you have.
Well, you look at a lot of killing. Wherever you see a lot of killing, okay. You look at the killing fields. You look at Vietnam. You look at what our soldiers were asked to do. You look at what Hitler's army was asked to do. None of them did it without the aid of drugs. Yeah. None of them could do it.
Of course.
No one could do it without drugs. No one could do it without numbing their mind or numbing their bodies. It's always...
It makes them feel like Superman. Well, and the dangerous thing is, Randy, because, this has been going on since the Holocaust. And it's just been quietly building. And now we're going on like almost 4 generations of children who mistake methamphetamine addiction for confidence.
I wish somebody would admit that this man's on something, because nobody will. Nobody will. I mean,
they won't, because
every biographer,
they
though.
They won't, probably, because they are too.
No. I'm saying, like, Michael D'Antonio, who wrote, the definitive Donald Trump book, and Tony Schwartz, who was, Donald Trump's ghostwriter, and Tony Schwartz wrote The Art of the Deal. And he knows Donald Trump. I mean, they all know him, like, very, very, very well for a long period of time. And they all say that's the one thing Donald Trump doesn't do is drugs. He doesn't smoke cigarettes. He doesn't drink alcohol. And he doesn't do drugs. No.
The only thing that means is they don't do drugs.
That he didn't do it in front of them?
You didn't know what a stone person was until you got stoned. You wouldn't know what that was. You don't know.
Well,
I
never ever. I'll tell you, I've never done meth in my life. I've never done heroin in my life. I've never done that, and yet I kind of can see what it does to people. I could see them taking crap apart and saran wrapping the house.
Non-functional part of it, but there is an entire functioning spectrum of that subset that you just think they're really happy and energetic.
Really,
and they're just nice old people at the grocery store, and they're fucking high as kite. Treating people like shit every now and then.
Really?
And that's as far as you but that's like what you said about those authors. That just means they don't do math. Because the devil knows their own. That's why, that's true, because it's a saying, the devil knows its own. And that's all it says about those authors. How would they know what that is?
Could we get rid of the Electoral College? I honestly, because we get 2 people. One is on meth and the other one isn't. Great.
Well, you know what I think would be a good solution, like an easy solution, is you just change the curriculum of how the Holocaust is taught in school. and say, oh yeah, like there was this group of people and they were, they thought they were the most beautiful, this and that, blah blah blah, and they thought they were superior and they were cleaner and this and that. And you go through the whole story, but at the end of it, you say, but by the way, they were all fucking meth addicts. They were all scumbag junkies. And it would really, if you get like, little Lucifer 2.0.
You're killing me, man. You're killing me.
Swear to God.
Oh.
Then they'll be sitting there in their classroom.
It is a part of
that
the,
idea of
no, you're right. It is
their head.
It is a part of the story that never gets told.
It's the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
Oh, everybody, speaking of drug addicts.
The idea that there is far more crazed right-wing terrorism in America than there is any other kind is nothing more than a media narrative manufactured out of whole cloth. And it's just waiting for events like this to take place.
Why do we have events like this taking place? It's a media narrative just waiting for a mass shooting, targeted at Muslims in a mosque, or it's just a media narrative waiting for a shooter to go into a synagogue. Why do we have shooters in synagogues? Why do we have shooters in high schools? Why do we have shooters in mosques? Huh, Rush? Huh? Speaking of drug addicts, these people with their moral high ground, honest to God, man. And, it does seem to me that the only explanation in the world is meth. The caller, I can't disagree with him. I wanted to, but I couldn't. I couldn't muster an argument, and you know me, I could argue from both sides of everything, but if I feel like arguing with you, I'm going to argue with you. But honestly, I couldn't think of anything to say to him that would, smack down the theory that these freaking lunatic right-wing gun-toting haters are all tweakers. I can't think of anything that would, unexplain it. All right, Elizabeth Warren's going to be on CNN in a town hall setting from Mississippi tonight, and then at 7 o'clock, at 8 o'clock, you have Kirsten Gillibrand. There's so many Kirstens now. We have a Kirsten Gillibrand. She's going to be on a town hall with Chris Hayes, and then at 9 o'clock, Elizabeth Warren will be in a CNN town hall setting. I believe Chris Matthews at 7 o'clock is having an interview with Cory Booker. So, because 2020 just can't happen fast enough for me. This is why I want you to pay attention now. I think Joe Biden is getting very ready to announce. Just so you know. Scott in L.A. May I help you? Scott in L.A. And Ricky in Chicago.
Hi, Randi. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good. As I was listening to that last caller, it kind of made a lot of sense for me because I agree with the drug thing makes a lot of sense when you think about it. But when you add on top of that, I remember a couple months ago you were talking about how we have something called an insula in our brain. And it gets activated when people in positions of power speak hate speech and speak fear-mongering and stuff like that. And it makes people that have the tendency to take stuff like that to heart react in a certain way. I think that is starting to spread across the world because people more and more are starting to do these heinous things, and they don't have any problem saying that they're doing it in the name of Trump. That it's, I'm doing this for Trump and all this other. And so I really think that we have a major problem on our hands of that this president is starting to speak to the mentally ill in a way that is so dangerous for the rest of us in society.
Well, it's interesting because I was listening to this ex-white supremacist, this ex-skinhead being interviewed by Chris Cuomo, I think, on Friday night.
I saw that. I saw that.
And he said, now these recruiters of hate are going into, what we consider safe places on the internet. They're going, obviously they've been in game rooms for a really long time. And I whenever a parent catches on to it, they tweet at me or something and go, hey, listen, you got to tell your audience that these kids in the game rooms are being recruited by white supremacists. I said, oh, my God, you're just now finding out? This has been going on forever, right? So that's number one. But now they're going into rooms where autistic people meet. They're going into rooms where people with learning disabilities, gather, and they're stimulating, the conversation in these places with, people who are not equipped to, argue against this kind of hatred. It's a very sick and strange thing that they're going into what we consider, safe spaces on the internet to promote this virulent hatred for others and trying to tell these kids, that the only thing that's wrong is Muslims, or the only thing that's wrong is Jews, or the only thing that's wrong is black people, or the only thing that's wrong is Latinos, or the only thing that's wrong are Democrats. It's just so amazing how this victimhood thing sells, to a very large population in America. But then again, we do have a very large drug problem in America. And something tells me they're connected somewhere along the line. I just, the idea that you have people who could shoot people so easily, that could just, go in and just blast away at the people in a church, or the people in a mosque, or people in a synagogue. Something tells me it's not just they want to say, oh, they're mentally ill. Something tells me that it's a combination of situations, that it's a victimization mantra that's being preached to them, that they believe it so much that they have to somehow self-medicate. And then on top of it, you have the leader of the free world doubling down on the reason why you're not doing well is fill in the blank, right? Pick a group, pick a small percent of the population and blame them. Now, I will say Republicans have always preached, look down. Look down. That's where your problem is coming from. It's coming from below. But the true problem is always coming from on high. Always, always, always from on high. So, I heard that. Slam that phone down. My God, what's going on? Nothing. Trump is not a drug addict. Oh, it's Lori in Orlando. Okay, hi, Lori.
Hi. I don't know why he got all upset.
I don't know why.
I think that one, the other guy, not the one that you just talked to, but the other one, he was doing great and everything was fine. And then he just got a little weirded with the whole vein thing. And then you were even trying to back out of it. And so I was telling the guy who screens the calls, I'm like, you need to screen a little bit better because there's a couple of morons. Because then the next guy.
Well, how do you explain all this victim that Trump is the ultimate victim?
It's his personality. It has nothing to do with drugs. It's his personality. It's who he is.
So if he is a guy who's always feeling victimized by everything, and he's got everything, why is he the president? How can we have a leader who complains about everyone and everything all the time?
Because we ran him against. Because what happened? This is exactly what happened. First of all, I guess he felt victimized because he, got booted over to boarding school when he was 13 or whatever.
So how many times am I going to have to pay for some kid who was a bad kid whose parents sent him away?
No. Randy, listen. The thing that happened. The reason why Trump won is because we had Hillary. Nobody voted for Hillary. I used to live in South Florida. I live in Central Florida. The people didn't vote. My neighbors didn't vote. My black neighbors didn't vote. All the black people I know, and I know more than one, I have more than one black friend, they did not vote. They didn't vote for Trump. They didn't vote for Hillary either. That was the problem.
All right, so that's 2 years ago.
And Biden is going to run. I believe
you. Let's say you're right. Let's just say that something made people stay home, okay? And that staying home thing elected this man. Why in the world are people defending A man who spends the entire weekend not mourning for lost life, although he claims he loves life and babies and all that. You lost a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old, and instead he's mourning Janine Pirro being suspended. I mean, what is that? How is that leadership?
I'll tell you how that is too, and this is what I found out because I asked. Now it sounds weird, but it has to do about the economy. Because I asked the guy who's doing my porch, I go, how's everything going? I go, because I was asking him, I go, because he's just a poor guy and all this, and working for a live, hard work. I go. He goes, oh, I like Trump because ever since Trump got elected, I've had jobs have just been coming. So people don't care. That's the thing is the economy's going good.
But if you lived in Lordstown, if you lived in Ohio, if you live in Michigan,
I know, but
those states voted for him, and they saw a Kmart Supercenter close down. They saw the GM plant.
I know, but in general,
they saw the GM plant close down.
See how they do next time.
So you think this is the end of it?
Just see how as long as the economy's going. It'll be fine. That's what I'm saying.
He did nothing for the economy. He passed a tax cut for the wealthiest Americans. We're dead up to our eyeballs.
You can say that all you want, but that doesn't make a difference.
But Lori, does your poor guy that was doing your porch, does he have health insurance? I mean, what happens if he breaks a finger?
I don't know. I didn't ask him that. All I'm saying is that's what I'm telling you what the poor people are saying. To the poor people, he goes,
no,
I got a raise.
Not what poor people are saying. You're talking about one guy who fixed your porch.
I'm not saying poor people. I'm thinking work people. No, he's not. He's a carpenter. I'm a Hurricane Irma victim. He's a whole porch thing. He's like, I was just asking because I like to ask people. He goes, I've gotten a raise and work has not stopped because everybody's trying to get more jobs here and there.
Well, it's a hurricane situation.
Right. So I'm saying. But
so what does that have to do with Donald Trump?
I'm saying that.
So can't you just say to him it's a hurricane? Can't you just say to the guy, you like to talk to people, right?
From my hurricane, they're remodeling.
Oh, Lori, stop talking. This is why he did that. This is why.
No, listen.
No, you listen. This is why. Because you just won't stop. Now, next time you ask him, don't you get that this is a disaster situation? It has nothing to do with the president of the United States. Do you have health insurance? What happens if you break a finger? What's that going to cost you?
They go to the ER. It doesn't matter if you have health insurance. If you don't have health insurance, everybody can.
Okay, so what if he gets cancer? You think they treat cancer at the ER?
I don't know.
I do. They don't. All right, I get why you did that. Lori. That's a hurricane situation. That's a rebuilding situation. This is, Donald Trump has killed this economy. Okay, he's killed it. We had like a 4% growth 8 times under Barack Obama. 8 quarters of better than 4% growth. This time we had 20,000 measly jobs created last month. 20,000. Do you know how bad that is? Do you have any idea? 20,000 measly jobs. I mean, a bad month is 180,000 jobs created. This man, 20,000 jobs. That's pathetic. The people who voted for him are seeing remember, he loved the coal miners. More coal mines have closed since Trump's been president than in 8 years of Barack Obama. That's just a fact. The GM plant in Ohio, Lordstown, Ohio, just closed. They lost a Kmart superstore there, too. There's no jobs there now at all. This man took a good thing that he inherited and just frittered it away on the wealthiest Americans. CEO salary, yeah, if you're talking about CEO, well, they couldn't be happier. 996% increase. Average worker, 3% with 1.5% inflation. It's dead even. Nobody's doing anything. And all he does is play, I'm the victim. They're attacking me. You have to defend me. Me. Yeah, screw you. You're the president. What about us? What are you doing for us? What have you done lately? You went on a tweet storm this weekend. What the hell? Does that put anything in my pocket? Oh, please. And you know what, Lori? I'm going to say this because I know this is going to piss you off. He's on drugs. It's the only explanation I have for how hard-hearted and how nasty and how victimized he always is. I tell you, go read George Conway's Twitter feed. Oh my God, Kellyanne Conway's husband. I don't know what game these two are playing. But as much as she defends him, that's how much he attacks him with the same kind of vitriol and the same kind of, malintent. So I can kind of see what the attraction is between those two.
Recently, many leaders in our nation have taken a stance on whether or not Confederate symbols should remain in the public eye in many of our cities, towns, and parks. As a presidential hopeful, do you have any plans on addressing the removal or lack thereof of the reminders of this nation's dark past, or have any plans on preserving the nation's history in a way that explains it in a more educational sense versus showing praise to the losing side?
All right. You put it right. So I would support removing Confederate celebrations from federal lands and putting them in museums where they belong. That's right. Thank you.
Let me follow up if I can, because Mississippi is the only state in the country that still has the Confederate battle emblem on the state flag. Do you think Mississippi should adopt a new flag?
Yes.
That was the shortest answer I've ever gotten from a politician in my life.
She was on fire last night, I gotta say. Elizabeth Warren, she killed it. That was a great town hall. Of course, you had Kirsten Gillibrand, who was on MSNBC in a town hall setting. But Elizabeth Warren killed it. All right. So let's give a little roll on Kirsten Gillibrand, everybody. Kirsten Gillibrand.
Question to you is, what will you do about white nationalism, and will you repeal the Muslim ban, the executive orders of the Muslim ban?
I will stand up against white nationalism, and I will repeal the Muslim ban as soon as I am president of the United States. Now, but to answer your broader question, one of the reasons why I'm running for president is because what Donald Trump has done to this country. He has made her family afraid to worship. He has spread fear and hate and degradation across this country. He has spewed hate, racism, anti-Semitism, and has inspired more. Now, Donald Trump did not create hate and racism and bigotry and anti-Semitism. But what he has done is poured fuel on a fire that is raging more than I've ever seen it in my lifetime. Hate crimes have gone up exponentially all across my state, all across the country, because of what President Trump has unleashed.
Woo! It was great, right? That's a great answer. That is an amazing answer. It is borne out by the facts. The facts clearly show that hate crimes in this country are up by 17% over last year. We know what the crimes look like. We know we had this guy driving around Miami in a car that was just plastered with pro-Trump crap, sending bombs and pipe bombs to, fake news, what he thought was fake news CNN, and to other Democrats. We know that we had a Coast Guard guy who was just about to go off, and he was like a ticking time bomb. He was also, on behalf of Trump, going to go after Democratic politicians. We know that, we had a guy go into the synagogue in Pittsburgh, which really, I mean, if you only knew how close my family lives to that synagogue, it would blow your mind how personal and up close that particular disgusting, mass murder was. But that said, we had a guy who did that in an anti-Semitic way. Obviously, Trump supporters. So that was it's all borne out by facts. Everybody gets it, except for the president of the United States, who doesn't want to do anything except attack the news media. But then I was watching Kirsten ahead of Elizabeth Warren, because I want to talk about us today. I really do. I really want to spend some time on us today, because we have an amazing, amazing buffet of progressive candidates. Then we've got some who are a little more, I don't know. What should we say about Beto? What should we say? First, we should say his name right. It's Beto. Bet, like bet your life on it. Oh, bet Bet. Bet. Like that. Okay, and I'm learning. I have Jake Tapper's, little what do you call this? No, but what do you call it when you're phonetically telling me how to say everybody's name? So it's bet, comma, like the punctuation mark, comma, la, boot, edge, Kirsten, Julian Castro, Bernie Sanders, and Elizabeth Warren. Like that. So anyway, so she was doing fine, and then somebody asked her the question.
Now, I am a mother of boys. And the conversations I was having at home at the time were very upsetting. Because Theo said to me, Mom, why are you so tough on Al Franken?
Mm-hmm.
And as a mother, I had to be really clear. It is not okay for anyone to grope a woman anywhere on her body without her consent. It is not okay to forcibly kiss a woman ever without her consent. It was not okay for Senator Franken, and it was not okay for you, Theo, ever. So I needed to have clarity. And if there are a few Democratic powerful donors who are angry because I stood up for women who came forward with allegations of sexual harassment, that's on them.
I'm not a powerful donor. I'm somebody who actually worked with Al for 5 freaking years, and I told you he's a full frontal kisser, and it's kind of like kissing a fish is what it is, but it wasn't forcible. It's just a greeting. Some people hug, some people do the double kiss, cheek to cheek, which is always, for me, difficult. You never know, like, we're going to do 2. Some people actually go for 3. A 3 is very mind-bending. A 3 is mind-bending. Because you're like, okay, we're going to go in for 2. There's another one. I thought. And you then have this issue with your composure. And that's not right. Kirsten, that's not right. I don't hear you, arguing about the 3 kiss, the try deal. That's, But yeah, she lost me there. I just have to say. But, you might like her, and that's okay. That's fine. Maybe she'll be our civil rights commissioner. I have no idea. Really, I don't. But I thought Elizabeth Warren was so I watched Kirsten. Sort of, lost me with the Al Franken. I had to say something. He's not a sexual molester. Now, she did not say anything about the issue on her staff. There is an issue on her staff. I'm not clear about what the issue on her staff is. I do know that if you have, a large staff, apparently you better keep it, in your pants. No, if you have a large staff, if you work with a lot of people, then how in the hell are you supposed to, say that they will never, look, we sign contracts. People do this all the time. I will say one of the weirdest ones I ever signed was the Air America one. That was the strangest one because that one actually encouraged a tumultuous workplace. It actually made you agree that you were going to be working in a very tumultuous environment. And that, freedom was prioritized and da-da-da-da-da, and that you would hear things that weren't politically correct, and that you waived your right to sue over political correct, political incorrect, and that people were going to curse and swear, and that was an interesting one. But for the most part, people work for companies that have policies against, harassment. And that's cool. That's great. I appreciate that very much after working for a company that actually had a whiteboard in the kitchen called the C-word board with actual photographs of actual people who are actually females who actually turned down the advances of, some of the more animalistic people that you had to work for. So I appreciate that. But Al, I never understood the attack on Al. I really did. And she spearheaded. And so while I agree that you can't be, responsible for every single person proactively, after the fact, you can protect your people. After the fact, you can fire somebody who violates whatever covenants you have in place for your work environment for your, particular staff, for your particular environment that you wish to create as the big boss of whatever it is, right? I get that. I appreciate that because I've worked for I've worked for lots of crazy people, but, I've worked for both sides of that coin, right? And they were both terrible. I have to say they were both like off the hook. Okay, both. You never knew like what the hell was, but I never came across a 3-time kisser at the workplace, and I just wonder what Kirsten's position would be on that. We know what her position is on fish face. Full frontal. That's a no in her book. That's a no. Of course, I signed a contract that said that fish face, would never be a reason to file. And quite frankly, I never thought it was. And the groping thing, oh my God. You remember what the complaint was? Do you remember? The complaint was that, when he was taking promo pictures, when he was taking photographs with, fans or listeners or whatever, that he would actually, this is so ugly, everybody. This is just like what Warren Jeffs did that Tucker Carlson defended. I mean, this is just, the Pizzagate thing all over again, isn't it? Yeah, he would put his hand around your waist to take a photo. So now I'm all freaked out. Do I have to stand like this when I take a photo? I mean, I got photos of me kissing people. Do you know what I mean? Can I ever run for office because there's photos of me with listeners like kissing people? I just don't, I don't know. So I don't understand her. I really don't get the short fuse. I'm not one of those. I just don't get it. Like I said, I've been in all kinds of environments, and I've worked with him probably 4 or 5 years every single day following his show. Never ever, And I was younger then. I was adorable. So I don't get it. I don't really get it. So anyway, we went over to CNN after that, and we saw Warren. And Warren, I swear to God, she was in Jackson, Mississippi. This was bold. This was brazen. This was a really good move to say to people, we're going to places where Democrats don't go. That's number one. We're going to go and talk to people who Democrats never go and talk to. Why? Because Mississippi is a reliably red state, probably because of lots and lots of voter suppression, But Mississippi is a reliably red state, just like California is a reliably blue state, just like New York is a reliably blue state, and Massachusetts is a reliably blue state. And therefore, because of our damn electoral college scenario, Democrats don't go to California very much. They don't go to New York very much. They don't go to, places that are reliably blue, right? Unless they're running locally or statewide in those states. As far as the presidential goes, that's when the Electoral College kicks in. And so you don't go to Wyoming because it's going to be red and, all of the electoral votes, what is it, 5, 3, 2, are going to go, to the Republican. And the same for Mississippi and the same, And so you get the really tough battlegrounds visited over and over. That's why Florida is a great place to live during a presidential because you're going to see everybody, right? Ohio, great place because you're going to see everybody. Iowa, you're going to see everybody. Michigan, probably everybody. Wisconsin, But she went into Mississippi. And she went to Mississippi last night for that reason, to tell them a couple of things about voting. Everyone needs to have the right to vote if they're of age and an American citizen, and to get rid of the Electoral College. And by the way, that particular position of getting rid of the Electoral College has been mine for a very long time, as you know. But also Mr. Buttigieg, okay, the mayor of, South Bend, Indiana, he's also about that. A lot of people are getting very hip to this thing. It was cool to hear it.
Randy at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
I believe we need a constitutional amendment that protects the right to vote for every American citizen and to make sure that vote gets counted. We need to put some federal muscle behind that. And we need to repeal every one of the voter suppression laws that is out there right now. I'll tell you one more. We need to make sure that every vote counts. And I want to push that right here in Mississippi, because I think this is an important point. You know, come a general election, presidential candidates don't come to places like Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They also don't come to places like California and Massachusetts, right? Because we're not the battleground states. Well, my view is that every vote matters. And the way we can make that happen is that we can have national voting, and that means get rid of the Electoral College and everybody. Yep. Everybody.
Listen to that. Listen to that.
I think everybody ought to have to come and ask for your vote. What do you think? Yeah.
Yeah, that got the largest applause I've ever heard in a town hall for any issue. And this is Mississippi, where they know a couple of things. They know there's massive voter suppression going on, and they also know that they're that if they are felons or for a non-violent offense, and they've completed all their required court service and their whatever it was, paid their fines, they still can't vote for the rest of their lives. They understand what that's about down there. Okay, they are not unfamiliar with literacy tests down there. They are not unfamiliar with count the jelly beans in the jar kinds of things. They are not unfamiliar with voter suppression and moving the polling place outside of Jackson where there's no transportation, whatever. But they also understand that their vote is diluted by the people who aren't suppressed. And so Mississippi, in every politician's mind, appears in their head as a big red state. A red state that, nobody goes to because the Electoral College is going to decide not, who all the electors go vote for at the end of the whole process. That is ridiculous. And I'll tell you why it's ridiculous. Here, look, I don't want to bring up, Hillary and Trump and blah, 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 because, that's it's happened. It's done. But Hillary did win the popular vote by 3 million votes. She did. And Donald Trump won some of the Midwestern states like Michigan and Wisconsin by less than 22,000 votes. Something really weird happened there that you could have 3 million people want somebody for president, but 22,000 people in Wisconsin or, 20,000 people in Michigan wanted a different guy. And so the entire Electoral College goes to the guy who did not win the popular vote. Now, here's another little factoid about this. Republicans have won the White House 3 of the last 5 presidential elections. Guess how many of those Republicans won the popular vote? We've had 5 elections, 3 Republicans won. How many of those 3 Republicans who won got the popular vote? Right, one. W in 2004, and that's because he was a wartime president, right? We were right in the middle of, recovering from, the Saudis attacking us and us having to go invade Afghanistan and bomb Iraq. I don't know. But yeah, it's just so strange. It's so strange that the people who don't win the majority of the votes in the world's greatest democracy, the people that don't win, get to be president of the United States. And that is a function of the wholly inadequate Electoral College, which was designed back in the day. It's part of the Constitution to protect slave states who wanted to protect the slave trade. That is why we have it. And it is time to get rid of it. And it is time to have one, there is no, this is, when I tell people this, they get, crazy, and then they start to check it out, which is good. I want you to do that. Don't believe a word I say. Just go look it up for yourself. So there is nothing in the Constitution that guarantees you the right to vote. Nothing. Absolutely nothing in the Constitution guarantees you the right to vote. What is in the Constitution is that the states may choose the way, the manner in which electors are selected. That's it. So the states control whether or not you have a right to vote. That is antiquated. That is ridiculous because we know in some states they're going to make you count jelly beans. And in other states, they're going to move your polling place so far away that you don't have a prayer of getting there. And in other places, they're going to come and pretend that your absentee ballot can be collected by a man who wants to fill them out himself or by a man who wants to throw them away if you filled them out in a way that his client didn't like. I mean, there's so much electoral fraud. There's very little voter fraud. We know of the one girl in Texas who got 5 years in prison because she went ahead and voted and didn't understand that she was prohibited because she apparently was a felon. I mean, tax evasion was her crime. Tax evasion. Yeah. Sounds worse than it is when you realize that, it's tax time now. And if you make a mistake, right, you too. So, and then you'll lose your right to vote for the rest of your life. It's just ridiculous. So there are many issues around voting, but the big one is that there is nothing in the federal Constitution that provides you with a right to vote. And that has got to change. We could live in a country where there's one manner in which everybody participates on a predetermined date or dates for voting to choose the leader of the free freaking world. And I agree with this. I have agreed with this for a very long time. You have to remember where I was broadcasting and who I was in 2000 when Bush v. Gore actually happened. I was just a local broadcaster down here. I was working for WJNO in West Palm Beach. And 36 days, this Bush v. Gore case went through the court system. It went through the state court system, and then a parallel lawsuit, which was filed by W, went through the feds, okay? And the reason why Gore went through the states is because the states were the ones who got to choose the manner in which the electors would be selected. So he thought the natural place to bring but Bush, he went to the feds and ended up in the Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court. Now, the Florida Supreme Court decided that we should continue to count the votes and that the votes needed to be hand counted until they were done. But Bush went through the feds and the U.S. Supreme Court. They said, stop counting the votes. Just stop it already. For, just this one time, we're going to choose the next president of the United States. I mean, that was such an affront. And still, all these 19 years later, people do not understand that they do not have a constitutional right to vote. And that should have been the big blazing sign in your face saying, we need to change this. Change needs to happen. And it hasn't. And it hasn't. You know why? Because amending the Constitution is difficult. Difficult. And America doesn't do the difficult things anymore. We lowered the voting age to 18 during the Vietnam era because we were sending 18 and 19-year-olds over there to lose their lives, to become addicted to heroin, see some of the most grotesque things that life could produce on this hellhole of a planet, then ignoring them. And so they were, you could be drafted, but you couldn't vote. So we managed to change the Constitution. We managed. But for some strange reason, Republicans love to tell you what you can't do, what we can't do, what America can't do. They're very busy pointing out what we can't do. Oh, what do you want the president to say about white supremacy and the rise of white supremacy? That is what Mulvaney said on the TV shows. Well, what do you want from what do you want him to do? Be a leader and say there is no place in this country for hatred as a policy. Hatred is not a policy. Hatred is not. It's not a platform to run on. Yeah, but it's too much for him. Too much for him because his base. They love to hate. But we can do tough stuff. You would have to get 2/3 of the House, 2/3 of the Senate. I know. But that's what it would take. 2/3 of the House, 2/3 of the Senate, and 3/4 of the state. Now, there are other ways to go about it. There are some compacts that are being discussed between the states who have a small amount of electoral votes to try and, band together to join us in saying the popular vote should carry the day. So this is a policy that's in progress. I will tell you that the first bill, the very first one, to end the Electoral College is 30 years old. You know who introduced it? It was called H.R. 40, and it was introduced by poor Representative John Conyers, who did get booted out for, pinching women and doing some crazy stuff. And now you have Sheila Jackson Lee, the Democratic House member from Texas, reintroducing it. H.R. 40 is the bill. I can't express to you how important that is, because if the message would not be sent to states like Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, even Texas, which is, starting to turn a little purpley, but if the message would be sent to all voters of those states that are almost habitually red, that their vote doesn't matter because it's habitually a red state, and you might disagree with that, but why vote because it doesn't matter, then we would have more voter participation, not less. And wouldn't that be a goal worth getting? Wouldn't that be an amendment to the Constitution worth having? Wouldn't guaranteeing federal voting rights be overdue in this country? So I loved that. I loved it last night. I loved it. I like that boot edge. He brought it up. He's all down with it. A lot of people are starting to look at it, especially people who live in traditionally red states who understand that it doesn't matter if they vote because there are more people who are going to vote the other way and they get diluted. Their votes don't count. That's sick. That's sad. That's wrong. So I was thrilled. Now, last night I got to tell you, she is policy fluent. And I think Elizabeth Warren gets a bad rap because she's so policy fluent. And, a lot of people look at her and think she's all policy, no personality, or she's all policy, no personal story. That's incorrect. And I tell you, I was like, and any candidate that does this for me, I'm going to, just sing their praises. I don't care who. I mean, it could be, you could have Bet do it. Kamala could do it if she wanted. Boot Edge. Kirsten, she kind of, deflated me last night. Julian Castro, Joe Biden is about to announce. Whoever does this for me, whoever gets me going like this, that's what we need. You know what? I saw a poll today. This is just so unbelievable. I saw a poll today that only 40% of Americans are enthusiasm about 2020. And of those 40%, 57% are Republicans. Yeah, 40% are enthusiastic. And of those 40%, 57% are Republicans. Of those 40%, 46% who are enthusiastic are Democrats. And that has everything to do with the way these candidates campaign. It's going to have everything to do with their policies and the way that they present them. It's going to have everything to do with populism for the middle class for real without the racism. Go to RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.